Warriors, welcome back to Gods of Alliance. If you're here, it means you want power, knowledge, and control over the battlefield. This is not luck. This is strategy. Let's break the game together. Warriors. Today we talk about something that many players actually enjoy seeing return. Not because it completely changes Hero Wars, not because it introduces crazy mechanics, not because suddenly the meta explodes, but because sometimes simple events with solid rewards are exactly what players want. And today, Secrets of the Dungeon returns. And Warriors, there is actually quite a lot to discuss, because while this event does not completely reinvent itself, it still brings resources. It still brings progression. And perhaps most importantly, it still gives accessible season coins, which immediately makes many players pay attention. Now, first things first, if you played previous versions of this event, most things will feel familiar. This is not a complete redesign. This is not a new system. And honestly, that is perfectly fine, because this event was already doing something useful, providing resources players always need. Gold disappears, energy disappears, Titan resources disappear, everything disappears. Hero Wars has a funny way of making sure inventories never stay full for very long, which means events like this usually remain welcome, especially because many rewards here can be obtained naturally while simply playing. And Warriors, that matters. Now, let us break everything down. First, day after day. This section is exactly what most players expect. Simple, easy. Log in, collect rewards, continue playing. These tasks are designed to reward consistency rather than investment. You simply appear, you play, you collect, and honestly, these are probably some of the easiest resources you will obtain during the entire event. The important thing here is simple. Do not forget to log in. Missing days means missing free progression, and free progression is still progression. Now we move into Value Exchange and Warriors. This is where things become more interesting, because here we start talking about emerald spending. Now, immediately, do not panic. Just because an event contains emerald tasks does not automatically mean players must suddenly spend everything. Actually, the smarter approach is usually the opposite. Play normally, spend when necessary, and see how far natural progress carries you. Because while rewards become bigger, 60,000, 80,000, 100,000 emerald tasks. These are not goals everyone needs to chase. The important thing is understanding value. If you were already planning investments, great. If not, forcing progression rarely feels good. Now, Hydra Hunter and Warriors. This is probably one of the nicest sections because many guilds already attack Hydra every single day, meaning natural progress. Again, you attack Hydra, you contribute, you earn rewards. Very simple. What makes this even better? The event gives flexibility, because players can also donate horns, which means, depending on your situation, you have options. And flexibility inside events is usually good design. Now, Energy of Evolution. This one is exactly what many players expected. Spend energy, receive rewards, continue spending energy. And honestly, most active players already consume enormous amounts of energy every day. Campaign farming, soul stones, equipment, fragments, events. Everything requires energy, so this section usually progresses naturally. The only thing Warriors should remember: avoid wasting energy simply to rush numbers, because efficiency always wins over panic spending. Now we arrive at Titanic Contribution and Warriors. Titanite, the resource everybody needs. The resource everybody complains about. The resource that somehow always disappears. This section rewards dungeon progression. Collect Titanite. Push further. Receive rewards. Very straightforward. Now, there is something important here. Do not suddenly force huge dungeon pushes if your Titans cannot support it. Because long-term dungeon consistency almost always beats short-term explosions. Take rewards. Keep progression healthy. Continue tomorrow. That approach usually wins. Next, fellow in arms, guild activity. And honestly, warriors, this is one of my favorite sections because it rewards something Hero Wars should always encourage: active guild participation. You contribute. Guild contributes. Everyone benefits. And once again, many players complete large portions naturally. Use energy. Open activities. Help guild progress. Rewards appear. Very simple system. And perhaps, most importantly, events that reward teamwork usually create healthier progression overall. And finally, warriors, Bane of Outlaws. This section focuses on Brigand Camps. And immediately, this creates something interesting. Because suddenly players need to remember these exist. Complete camps. Continue progressing. Collect additional resources. Very straightforward. What makes this section nice? The rewards remain practical. Materials. Resources. Useful progression items. Nothing here feels completely disconnected from everyday gameplay, which means, once again, natural play gets rewarded. And warriors. When we step back and look at everything together, a pattern appears. Logins, Hydra, energy, guild contribution, Titanite, camps. Most tasks simply reward activity. And honestly, that is probably why players generally like this event. Now, what is the verdict? Secrets of the Dungeon is not revolutionary. It is not trying to completely reinvent Hero Wars. And perhaps that is exactly why it works. The good, accessible rewards, season coins, multiple progression paths, natural task completion, guild interaction, useful resources. The weaker side, some objectives become expensive. Some thresholds become very large. Certain sections obviously favor more active accounts. But warriors? Even these criticisms remain relatively small, because at its core, this event rewards simply playing the game. And events that reward normal gameplay are usually healthier than events demanding unrealistic investment. So overall, solid event. Useful rewards. Worth participating, worth collecting, and definitely worth taking advantage of while available. Warriors, this is how we play the game. Not randomly, not blindly, with knowledge, with precision, with control. We don't build randomly. We build with intention. Master the mechanics. Control the fight. Let's break the game together.